Hey, how you doing? This is Tasso, and I'm going to do a little talk about African cichlids, Tanganyikan cichlids specifically, dwarf Tanganyikan cichlids, and the tanks people keep them in. So suddenly, again after about 10 or so years, Tanganyikan cichlids are making a comeback. Tanganyikan cichlids are African cichlids. They live in Lake Tanganyika and probably tributaries of that lake. They live in high pH, typically higher than their cousins, I guess, the Malawi cichlids, which live in Lake Malawi and are usually slightly larger and really more herbivorous than omnivorous, like the Tanganyikans. So Tanganyikans are very interesting. There's a wide range of them, but nowadays and back in the day, if you wanted to get into them and you had a small tank, you would get a lot of the shell dwellers. And that's become very popular now as well because people generally have small tanks. They don't have very, very large tanks because of living space and the price of living in America is high rents and small spaces, so people are doing 10 gallons and 20 gallons, and that's great, but then they want to do Tanganyikan cichlids because they've done, other things. Usually they've graduated from dwarf cichlids or community tanks or angelfish, and now or crebensis or something, or community tank. Now they want something different. I've seen hobbyists that have had other fish for many years, like someone who's kept discus for 15 years, or someone who's had South American large aggressive fish, might have moved and are going to a smaller tank. And I'm like, yeah, I've never had African cichlids before, and I have a small tank, so I really want to do Tanganyikans. But they really don't know what they're talking about because this is Tanganyikans is just a word, and it just means to them and to everyone, or dwarf cichlids generally, it means a small fish. But anyway, you can do a 20-gallon tank for Tanganyikans, but there are a few things you should know before you get into it. And you want to think to yourself, are you willing to have a tank that's going to have very few fish? There are not a lot of schooling fish for tanks that size that will also be in there to get the dwarf cichlids to not hide so much. So there's a lot to it, and so if you watch the second part of this video, I'll give you some pointers as to what you can get and the differences between these tanks and what 10 gallons can make, in the difference between having a species-only tank or having a nice Tanganyikan cichlid community tank. And let's see how this goes. Thanks for watching.